Okay, hi everybody. Tonight's homework was to watch this video about trapezoids. I figured with this unit, maybe we would try jumping right into the hardest shape. And most people say that they have the hardest time with a trapezoid, but to me, it's really not that much harder than the other shapes. Promise to keep it short, right? So let me keep the timer up so that I can see how much time I have left. All right, so I'll, I'll try not to rush, but I'll give you a good overview of this so that you know what you're doing. All right. All of these shapes are base times height. Most shapes that we do to find the area, it's base times height. Whether it's a square, a rectangle, or a parallelogram, they're all base times height. What we said in class was base and height have to be perpendicular. They have to form a right angle. Uh, Obviously, in a parallelogram, that's a problem because there aren't any right angles. So what they'll normally do is they'll give you somewhere on it a right angle. So now you know, like say if the base was 6, the height is 4. You don't use these sides because they're not at a right angle. All right, so what would happen to those shapes if you cut them in half, right? If we cut a square in half, cut a rectangle in half, even a parallelogram, they make triangles. It's still base times height. Like say this was 2 by 4. It's still got the same base, the same height. So now there's one extra step. We have to find half. And to find half, that means you're either going to divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2, which is the same thing as dividing by 2. Half, because a triangle is always half of something. Right? There's different kinds of triangles. They can be half of different things, but they're always half of something. All right, look at this shape, for example. It looks like a square, so it's already cut in half. So let's say the square was, we'll keep it easy. We'll make it 2 by 2. Let's say 2 meters by 2 meters. The area of the square is base times height, which they're both the same in this. So area equals 2 times 2. The area is 4 meters squared. So what if we cut it in half and we took this half out? It's still 2 times 2, right? But it can't be 4 anymore because it's only half. So what do we do to the 4? It's base times height, same as before, but now we have to divide by 2. So it's 2 times 2 divided by 2. Those cancel. The answer is 2. So the area is 2 meters squared. All right? What if you had 3 of these triangles? What if you had not 1 but 3? You could do something kind of neat with these. And this is what I wanted to show you in this video. If we make a little more space here, now remember that the area of that triangle was 2. So if we had 3 of them, we know what the area is. 2 and 2 and 2, and we have to add them together. So we wanted to find the area of those 3 triangles. 2, 4, 6. The area is 6. But look what you can do with these triangles. If I rearrange them, like for example, say I flip this one so that that's on the bottom, and I put this one next to it, and I put it right next to it. Let me move this one over a little bit more. And I take this one, come on now, come, there it is. Take this one, put it right there. Oh, I'm going to turn it a little bit more. Guess what shape I get? Guess what that's called? A trapezoid. Now remember what our original thing was. This is 2, this is 2, and this is 2. And the height from the original square was also 2. So guess how you find the area of a trapezoid? You find this base and this base. In other words, the bases of the triangle, so that's base plus base. You have to do that first. Times height. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So that's 6 times the height, which is 2. But one more thing. Remember what the trapezoid's made up of? Triangles. Divide by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the area of that trapezoid is 6 meters squared, which we already knew because it was 2 plus 2 plus 2. All right, let's try it. This is on page 564. I'll pause just a second so you can get your book and turn to this page. And of course, I'm going to want to see this done tomorrow since this was tonight's homework. Let me see how I'm doing. All right, 6 minutes. Oh boy, better make it quick now. All right, remember, this is really, you could even make this into 2 triangles if you wanted. Base plus base, 11 plus 6 is 17 times the height. So that's base plus base times the height. 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 1 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And one more step. Divide by 2. Half of 136. 6. 1 left over. 68 meters squared. Remember, you don't have to wait till the end to divide by 2. Like half of 8 is 4. So I could have done 17 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. There it is. There's my answer. That might have been faster. Let me do that with this one. I see a decimal. I know I have to add the bases. And by the way, the bases are always parallel to each other. Right? The bases in a trapezoid are always parallel. So 15.6 plus 7, which is 7.0, is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 22.6. I could divide that by 2 if I want, because I know it's a triangle. I always have to divide by 2. I get 11.3. And the height is 8. 11.3 times 8. 8 times 8, 24. 8, 9, 10. 8, 9. 90.4 feet squared. All right. Couple more quick ones. Taking too long. Sorry, guys. How about this? They give you the area and they give you the bases, but they don't give you the height, right? Times a half. So we know what the area is. We know what the bases are. They add up to 10. But we don't know what the height is. And we know it's got to be half of that. So 10 times a watt is 15. Well, that's a little tricky, right? Because 10 times 3 would be 30. And then we're going to take half of that. What's half of 30? 15. So the base has to be 3. I'll go more tomorrow how I got that, but those of you that are paying attention, you realize this is algebra. Doesn't have to be, but it makes it so much easier. Here's another one. Oh, this one's easy though, right? We have 2 bases. Remember the parallel lines and the height, right? So we can do 28 plus 18. 2, 3, 4. The height's 11. So I could do 46 times 11 and then divide by 2, or I could just take half of the 46, which is easy. It's 23 times 11, which is easier. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. 0, 3, 2. The area is 253 square feet. I didn't realize that. That's a pretty big area, actually. Huh. All right. Last one. How is a trapezoid related to a parallelogram? Well, look. Parallelogram is just like a trapezoid, except it's only 2 triangles, right? Whereas the Trapezoid is 3 triangles or 2 bigger triangles. How is it different? Parallelogram, the, the bases across from each other are the same, right? In a trapezoid, they're not, right? So in other words, in a parallelogram, you can just do base times height. But in a trapezoid, that doesn't work because you're missing that triangle, that extra triangle. But does that make sense? Yeah, I didn't write it down. All right, I went too long. I'm sorry. I tried. Hopefully this helps. Fill in all those questions for tomorrow so I know you watched it. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow. All right, 10 minutes. Darn it.